Hey guys, Adam from Splendid Sports back again. We're at number 28 of 3 and 3, and I'm joined by Al from Iconic Baseball. How you doing, Al?
I am well, Adam. Great to be here with you.
Thanks for coming on. And I got some questions for you because I've been watching your channel for quite a while now. I don't get a chance to comment on every one of your videos because a lot of them I'm driving on, but I try to catch all your most of your videos are part of your iconic 100.
Yep.
I love that. I was such a great idea, and not just a great idea, but the way you do it is just so professional, and clearly you know what you're talking about. You do your research, but you can tell that you've followed baseball and baseball history for a long, long time. So I love those episodes. Let's start there. I want to ask you. So for people who might not have caught one of these episodes, basically, Al, what you made a list. You came up with a list of what you consider to be the top 100 most iconic baseball players of all time. Now, explain that a little bit. Did you have a specific formula that you used? What it might be a proprietary formula. So it's like the KFC recipe where you can't give out all the stuff. That's okay, but give me a little insight onto how you came up with that list.
Yeah, it's well, thank you, Adam, for watching the videos. It's not really a formula per se, but my humble attempt at ranking these players, and I say this on every video, it's greatest and most iconic, meaning there is a quantitative aspect of this and a qualitative aspect. So it's the quantitative and digging down into the milestones, the WAR, the numbers, the batting average, the on-base percentage, the OPS, the OPS plus, all the stuff that stat nerds like me like to look at. I look at it. And then you also have to look at how iconic are they in the hobby? How were they in the postseason? How many Gold Glove awards did they win? Did they win MVPs? Other things that aren't necessarily captured in WAR or in some metric. And then maybe how meaningful are they to a city? You can't just capture Kirby Puckett, for example, by, okay, he's a 57 WAR player. Okay, that might be true. But if you talk to people in Minnesota, Kirby Puckett is it. I mean, he is the guy. And so, which is why Kirby Puckett is on my list, and a guy, not picking on him, but like Jim Thome isn't. And so Jim Thome objectively has better numbers in many respects. However, the difference is in that iconic, that iconic je ne sais quoi. So no, there's not a formula, but I take into account all those things when I'm ranking the players. How meaningful is that player? What have they done to ascend to a certain level of hobby status or cultural relevance? A guy like Jackie Robinson belongs much higher than his numbers would put him. So he is much higher than his numbers put him.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me because, like you said, there's a lot of things that go into it. Do you ever get people that give you I don't know if we call it negative, but does anyone ever kick back on your list and be like, how is this guy only here? How's he ahead of this guy? Do you get a lot of that?
I was fully expecting a lot more of that, and I welcome it. I mean, that's I always say this list is definitive to one person. That's me, because everybody, if you ask them to rank the top 100 players in terms of their greatness and their iconic status, they would have a different list. And this is the list that I personally use to guide my collecting. And that's what I'm sharing on this channel. It's not saying that, oh, that's it. Kirby Puckett's more iconic and better than Jim Thome, and that's it. He is to me. Based on what I look at, I feel I want a Kirby Puckett signed card more than I want anything by Jim Thome. Again, I'm just making one small example. But I've never lusted after a Jim Thome card. And so someone in Cleveland might feel differently because he had some amazing runs with the Indians in the late 90s. And he had a phenomenal career. He hit 600 home runs and 73 WAR. He had a great career. But for me, it's more than just that. It is that, but it's more than just, anyone can pull up career WAR, the top 100, and on Baseball Reference and just, okay, there's your list, spit it out. But for me, I'm trying to do something bigger and different.
Now if you have, I don't think I want to see it either way. I kind of want to be surprised. But have
Yeah.
you put out the full list yet, or is it like each one is kind of we don't know what's coming next? I haven't seen.
No, I haven't.
Okay, good.
That's part of what I was trying to do, is kind of build suspense as I go up the list, more and more iconic as we go. That's why I wanted to start at 100 and work my way up to 1, and build a little suspense as I go. And to be honest, I focus more of my hobby resources to the top 50, and then even more to the top 30, and then even more to the top 20. So, and that's just sort of also a function of how expensive items get when you start to look at Lou Gehrig. When you start to look at guys like that, meaningful items for, a Ty Cobb or a Lou Gehrig are going to set you back some money. So I've really tried to remain focused on not getting distracted by the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, and really try to funnel my resources smartly into the items that really truly matter more to me, and in concert with how I have them ranked on my list.
Well, other than also how well you do, like, because these aren't long episodes. You normally do them like 15 minutes type deal for each guy.
I try to keep them under 15 minutes. If I can do somewhere in the 8 to 12 minute range, that's where I like to stay. Yeah,
it's incredible how well you sum up a guy, a legend like that, in 12 minutes or whatever, and you do it so great. The other thing that strikes me, and pretty much all the ones I've seen, is because you usually show a card or memorabilia from your collection of the guy. Man, you have a phenomenal collection of the stuff I've seen so far. And like you said, we haven't even gotten into, what are we at, like 40 now?
Yep.
41, something like that?
Yeah, just finished 41, which was Josh Gibson. 40 will be this week. Yeah.
By the way, is this guy coming up, Pedro? Is he on your list somewhere?
I have a feeling he is. Yeah.
Oh, good. All right.
Certainly one of the dominant pitchers ever. So yes. Yeah.
Nice. All right. I'm looking forward to that one for sure. The other thing I kind of drew a little parallel with the Iconic 100 that you do. Do you remember a show ESPN put out right around, I think it was right around 2000, the Sports Century show they did, where they counted down the top 100 athletes of the 20th century?
Yeah.
I
never had cable growing up, so
okay.
I didn't watch Nickelodeon or ESPN. I didn't have those channels growing up, so I know I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever seen an episode.
It reminds me of that because for me it was like the best thing ESPN ever did when I was a kid. They wasn't just baseball; they would do like all sports, and they did the top 100, and it was basically voted on by all the sports writers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But each week, you wouldn't know who was they'd give you a preview, here's coming next, but you didn't know where where was Mickey Mantle going to fall on this list, right. Where was Babe Ruth and Michael Jordan. So I recommend anyone who hasn't seen that Sports Century. You could find, I think, pretty much most of the episodes on YouTube. You just type in Sports Century or the player that you're looking for. But I thought they did an awesome job with that. Some of the best episodes they've ever done. But it reminds me of that because you do almost one a week or so, and that's what they used to do for a while. They'd come out with one episode a week, and this was before the internet, so it was really suspenseful. We would talk, oh man, I wonder where this guy's gonna fall. So
I love that stuff. Yeah, I love watching lists too. It's kind of how my brain works too. I love rankings and lists and things like that. I like to see what other people have certain players ranked at. So it's sort of like, I almost built the channel that I would want to watch selfishly.
Hey, there you go. Why not?
It's how I guide my collecting. So it's basically something I do anyway. That's the way I look at it. It's the way my collection was already structured. And so I thought to myself, hey, this would be a great way this would be very YouTube appropriate. If I could just share a short video on each one of my players, put some structure to it, it's sort of made for YouTube is the way I looked at it.
Absolutely. Well, Al, as I mentioned, you got a phenomenal collection of what I've seen. So I'm looking forward to seeing, as we do on all these 3 and 3s, 3 of Al's favorite collectibles cards in his collection. And then we're going to look at the end, we're going to look at 3 that are on his want list, maybe for the National coming up here. So right. Al, whenever you're ready, let's go with number 1 of your 3 favorites.
All right. Well, I kind of represented my collection in that part of what I collect is signed baseballs. And so I picked what I would consider maybe my most important signed baseball. And then I have probably my most important slabbed autograph. And then I have, I think, probably my most important baseball card. And so I kind of went the top of the heap, I think, for each one of those categories. First of which, and this is one that I did show on my number 100 video, but This is my Michael Jordan UDA signed baseball.
Wow.
And this kind of ties in, Adam, with that last video you did on Air, which is a phenomenal movie, by the way. I watched that like a week and a half ago with my wife, and we both really enjoyed it. And I think we're both 41-year-old men. And,
yes.
And so that being said, we're of the generation that will always believe this man is the greatest of all time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And this just gives me all the feels, because when I was a kid, I remember when he made an attempt to play baseball. And so that will always be an important item, I think.
Where did you get that one?
This was, I think I bought this about 25 years ago on, remember AOL message boards?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I was on AOL. And this was even before eBay was that popular. I think it was in 98 or 99. And I think I responded to a message board post of someone who had, and he had posted some photos of a Michael Jordan UDA signed baseball. You know, comes with the box and everything, you know. Yeah. And these baseballs were released by UDA in '96. And so this was after he had tried to play baseball and decided, no, I'm just going to go back and win 3 more rings instead. But I always thought, what a cool opportunity to add a Michael Jordan signature to my baseball collection, because I never really collected basketball that much. But what a cool opportunity where I can actually add a high quality MJ piece to my baseball collection. And the guy wanted $285 for it. And at the time, I was in high school. I was waiting tables at the local diner, King's Family Restaurant. And it was a lot of money. And so I saved up and told this guy, would you hold this for a couple of weeks for me? And yeah, it was like the old days. I just emailed him and he emailed me back. He's like, yeah, sure. And eventually I got the postal money order together for him. I sent him the postal money order. This is pre-PayPal. And I'm so glad that I did that back in the day, because 25 years later, it's just like, it's a piece that would probably be out of my range at this point.
Yeah, Michael Jordan autographs are they're just hard to come by, and they're just such a high demand for them, obviously, that, yeah, that's the first MJ autograph ever on 3 and 3. We've had a Babe Ruth autograph from
Nice.
Legends Never Die, but first MJ autograph, man, that's awesome.
Sweet.
And that thing looked like it was signed yesterday.
Yeah, I keep it in the UDA box in the felt bag. You know, that's one that doesn't see the light of day too often, just because that's the knock on signed baseballs. They do fade. And so I really am very careful with my signed baseballs, especially the ones like that, that, I really want to keep them as nice as possible for as long as possible.
Whew. Well, we kicked that baby off with a banger, man. Let's go number 2 when you're ready.
All right. Number 2 is probably my nicest or most significant to me slabbed autograph. And this is Honus Wagner slabbed album page.
Wow.
So this is a really nice signature. I don't know if I'm getting some glare there, but it's a really nice Honus Wagner autograph. It's one of the nicest I've seen, and it's a full album page that I had mounted and then slabbed by PSA. And the greatest shortstop of all time and the greatest Pirate of all time. Me being a Pirates fan, it means a lot to me to have.
Is his autograph, like, compared to other guys from his era? Is it like real hard to find his compared to other guys, or?
It's probably on a par. It's probably a little harder to find than Ty Cobb.
Okay.
But he was Ty Cobb's contemporary, and I would say Honus Wagner might be a little pricier than Ty Cobb when there's less of them out there, but in the same era and of a similar greatness, I would say. But it's a really special piece, and it's grateful to have it.
Yeah, man, and obviously in the hobby, Wagner's, because of the card, he's at such a level up there with Mantle, and just one of those guys in the hobby that's as great of a player as he was. He's even more elevated in the hobby.
Absolutely. And being a Pirates fan, it's like one of my holy grails.
And how did you get that? I know you said you slabbed it up yourself, but what did you get it at, like a card show?
This is one where, like, I'm hesitant to tell the story because part of me just still feels bad about it because I got it for a really good price. You're an eBay guy, right?
Yes.
And so I assume you have saved searches. You have like a list of all these saved searches that you get alerts for when an item pops up, you're scrolling through, you're like, oh, okay, this something got listed there.
Too many. I got too many right now.
Yeah, right. I probably have 30 or more. I mean, I don't know. But so I had Honus Wagner autograph, save search years ago. This is probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I got, I was like out walking or something. And I had the little dot next to my save search as if something had just been listed for a Honus Wagner autograph. And I was like, oh, interesting. So I checked it out right away. And this guy had just listed an album that looked like it had just got pulled out of an attic that had album pages with poetry, passages of writings, unrelated to baseball. But the one thing that he did kind of identify in that was there was a Honus Wagner, what appeared to be a Honus Wagner autograph page in that album. And so he listed it with just those words, Honus Wagner autograph. And so then I looked at the photos, and he had it listed for a price that just didn't make sense for a Honus Wagner autograph. It was ridiculously low. And then I looked at his profile, dug deeper into who he was. What other items does he have listed? It seemed like he had a lot of items that were unrelated to baseball, unrelated to collecting. It's not like he had, a Ruth and then a Cobb, and no, he had a chandelier and some crystal stemware, And so it's just kind of like, all right. And so I just made the executive decision. It was a buy it now for that really low price, and I just went ahead and bought it, sight unseen, And I got back to me, and I just got shipped this album, and it had nothing really else significant in it. And then I got to the Wagner page, and I was looking through. I was like, wow, this looks really good. And the limited knowledge that I have on authenticating Wagner autographs, I was like, this looks right, and it really looks good. So then at that point, I carefully removed that page from the album without tearing anything. And then I did a Beckett quick opinion. Like you can send a picture to Beckett to get a quick opinion of, does this look right, for $10. And so and that came out good. So I was like, all right, man, this is getting exciting now. So then I had it mounted at my local framer on acid-free board, acid-free black, cardstock. And then I sent it off to PSA to get slabbed, and I just crossed my fingers. I was like, it looks good to me. And it looks authentic. It smells old, that kind of thing. Yeah. And, a few months later, it came back slabbed, and I was just like, literally, I was through the moon. I was so excited to have that.
Man, I love that. I'm glad I asked, because I love hearing stories like that. You know what? The way I look at it, that sits way better in your collection with you, someone who really knows what it is, appreciates it.
Right. That's what I hope. Yeah.
He's an hobbyist, someone like him, he doesn't really, that's okay. That's just, it's not, maybe baseball wasn't his thing, but he sold it. So, hey, it belongs with someone like you, in my opinion. So there we go.
Hey, thank you. And the way I look at it too is he was probably very happy to get $100 for it.
Sure. There we go. And it was still 4 or 5 years ago, like you said. So it's not like he was doing it now.
Right.
All right. Let's go number 3.
Number 3, I think my most significant baseball card is my Ruth. It's 1923 W515-1 strip card. Ooh. Featuring the Bambino. And I've showed this before on a few different videos, but I think it's a beautiful card. I don't think all of Ruth's strip cards are as beautiful, but I think this image, the caricature, kind of a line caricature of Ruth, really captures him in a way that some of the other strip cards don't. But so much going on with this card. It's a 1.5, and it's a blank back. But
it's a nice color match there with PSA too, with the red.
Yeah, I love the color match. I love that it's 1923 because there's so much going on. 1923 was the year that Yankee Stadium was built, and 1923 was Babe Ruth's best season. He had a 14 WAR that season. So a lot of people think, oh, his best year was the year he hit 60 home runs. I don't agree. I think his best year was 23 when he had a 14 WAR and he hit 393 with an on-base percentage of 550. I mean, the guy had an insane season in 1923. The one year he's credited with an MVP award. And so I would argue that 23 was his best season. By the way, the Yankees won the World Series that year also. And so I would, for the price, I think these strip cards, especially this strip card, is a much better value than any of the Gaudies, in my opinion. I think the Gaudies, they came out during the twilight of Ruth's career. He was third to last season. He was still productive. He was still a good player, but they kind of came out right at the tail end of his career. Whereas these 20 strip cards came out right in the prime of Ruth's career, right when they were building Yankee Stadium, right when he was really in the middle of his prime. So that's why I love that card. It's also number 3 in the set, which that's
Oh,
Ruth.
nice.
So there's just a lot going on with that card.
That thing is awesome. I've mentioned this before, but I'm not the biggest pre-war guy, but I do prefer, like, obviously any Babe Ruth playing days card is awesome.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one that has a lot of color in it, like that one with the red background, and
Yeah.
I obviously I prefer those over like some of the black and white ones or the ones that maybe
Sure.
don't pop as much. But whew, that thing, man, a 1.5, that thing was beautiful. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's
hairs on the grade, but still
light creasing that you can't really make out very easily in there, and so it's some stuff that really doesn't detract from its overall eye appeal, which that's what it's all about. Anyone talk to anybody that really is into pre-war, and they'll tell you, it's about just how does it present, how does it look.
Oof. Now, you mentioned Babe Ruth Gaudies. Would you trade 2 Babe Ruth Gaudies, a Mickey Mantle PSA 5 rookie for a Steph Curry? No, I'm not going there, but guys,
Right.
maybe you might pick up if you know what we're talking about. Either way, we won't go deep on that, but yeah.
No,
man,
I wouldn't. But again, to each of their own. Jeff Wilson is his own man, and he can make his own decisions. And he's playing in a ballpark much different than me or most of us.
Yeah.
So if he wants to make that trade, then he's every right to do so.
We don't care. We don't care what other people do with their money. Especially people that have tons of money that does. But if someone's putting a video out and they're calling themselves the sports card investor,
right?
I'll give my opinion on if I think it was a good long-term investment. I'm no expert. No one I know is an expert in this stuff. But yeah, I think it's tough. It becomes hard when you're trading like cemented vintage iconic cards like that for still a modern guy who's still playing, and sets that really haven't cemented themselves like 51 Bowman has, stuff like that. So I wouldn't have done the trade either, but yeah. And if you're doing it just from a collection standpoint, I said we weren't going to talk about this, but if it's just a collection standpoint,
I love collecting theory. I love it.
Yeah. It's one thing if it's because I saw people comment on his trade saying, well, yeah, it's as long as he's happy, that's fine. But
sure.
Will he be happy if that Steph Curry card's worth $50,000 in 2 years? Probably, I don't know. Will he be as happy? I know that he bought that. I saw the video where he bought that Mantle rookie at last year's National, like 10 months ago. And he did say, I'm going to cherish this card for a long, long time in his video. 10 months later, off it goes. So, I don't care what he does. It doesn't affect me. But as a Mickey Mantle collector, it hurts a little to see that. It hurts a little. But
yeah, I mean, if we're measuring it monetarily, we'll see how he does 10 years from now. How does that trade look 10 years from now? That'll be the true test.
Right.
I have a feeling it won't look good monetarily 10 years from now, because a card like that Steph is iconic as he is as a player, and that probably is his best card or one of them. I'm just not sure how the modern market will hold up long term compared to some of those cards he traded away, the 33 Gaudy Ruths and the 51 Mantle. I mean, those are some bangers. Those are some vintage bangers
that have stood the test of time. Whereas, usually when a guy like a Steph Curry, who's going to go down as one of the all-time greats, but he's not going to go down as Michael Jordan. When they retire, generally their interest is going to go down. They're going to kind of become some of these other guys. I don't know how like he won't become probably a Tim Duncan, right, who gets completely overlooked. Right. But I don't think there's going to be as many people interested in Steph Curry cards after he retires, at least for a little while. Then it might circle back, but there's always that time period. Like Tom Brady seeing right now, as someone I collect, now that he's kind of off the radar, his prices are going down pretty significantly. Maybe they'll go up again in the future, but there's definitely a trail off once they retire, I think.
Sure. People, they aren't in the news. They aren't making headlines. Yeah.
Anyway, that was one little road we went down, but let's get into, I want to look at 3 of the cards. You sent me these 3 cards on your want list. I'm going to pull up the first one here. This is a card that I feel like is very sneaky, under the radar a little bit. I mean, obviously we know what it is, but we've probably heard of it, but I don't feel like it gets talked about as much. So let's pull this baby up. This was cool what you did too. You sent me a list, but also kind of like the price that you're looking to acquire the card in, if you can, and generally the grade on that. So you sent me, this is the 1940 play ball Joe Jackson in a PSA 2. And so you're looking maybe if you can secure this one for about like in the $2,000 range. Is that right?
Yeah, that's sort of the target price that I'd be looking at. Yeah.
Man. Yeah. 40 play ball gets overlooked in my opinion, because you get the 39 with like, the Ted Williams rookie and the Joe DiMaggio. And then you get the 41, which is the year that DiMaggio and Ted Williams did crazy stuff. But then the 40, I don't feel like the 40 gets as much attention, but it does happen to have this card, Joe Jackson, which he has so few cards, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
There are just so few vintage era Joe Jackson cards out there that I feel like that's one of the few. And I don't have a 40 play ball card right now. I've had 40 play balls in the past. I've moved them along because they weren't essential to what I'm trying to do. But if I have one 40 play ball in my collection, I want that to be it. And it may not be this year. It might be not be next year, but in the next hopefully few years, I could pick that card up in a low grade. He's one of those guys where, I'm settling for a non-playing days shoeless Joe. I'm okay with that. And I've settled for a non-playing days Cobb. It's vintage, but it's not playing days. It's a 33 Sport Kings Cobb, which is a beautiful card. I have a non-playing days Wagner. It's a 48 leaf. So there are, vintage options out there for these players that, otherwise would be really, really pricey, really unattainable. And so there are non-playing days vintage options and non-playing days pre-war options even for some of these players that, most people say, yeah, right. No, never getting a shoeless Joe or never getting a Cobb or never getting a Wagner. There are options out there. So those are the things that I try to find those values in the hobby where I can still have an old card of shoeless Joe without having to shell out the 5 figures, because that just isn't going to happen.
And by the way, that was one of my favorite of your episodes on the Iconic 100 was the Shoeless Joe episode.
Thank you.
Pretty recently. I love that. Love that, man. All right, let's go number 2, which is great. Another great card. Get this off here. 1948 Bowman Stan Musial rookie. And you're looking at this, if you can, in like a PSA 3 right in there, that range. Yeah. Let me pull up one that actually pretty recent. No, this is a PSA 4. Let's go this one. This is one of your classic listings that says PSA 3 looks nicer. This one recently sold for $659 on eBay.
Well, yeah, that's a Stan Musial rookie card. I mean, he is one of the top 20 players of all time, probably one of the top 10 hitters of all time, maybe one of the top 5 hitters of all time. But he is elite status in the game. And yeah, the 48 leaf, 49 leaf gets a lot of love, and rightly so. It's a beautiful card with great color. But I kind of like that vintage simplicity of the black and white portrait. Something about that card speaks to me. And for the price, this is quite a bit cheaper than his 49 leaf. So, and it's his true rookie card. On a much smaller scale, I feel the same way about that card as I do about the 51 Mantle versus the 52 Topps. 51 Bowman versus 52 Topps. If I was going to have one or the other at a comparable price, I would pick the 51 Bowman, or for the price. That's the same kind of methodology why I would pick the 48 Bowman at a 3 or a 4 versus maybe picking up a real beat copy of the 49 leaf, maybe at a 1 or something for the same price.
Yeah, and I kind of put this one in the same category for me as like the 39 play ball Ted Williams, where I mentioned I'm not like the biggest fan of black and white cards, but some black and white cards just hit differently, like the play ball Ted Williams. And then this one to me just hits differently, even being black and white. Like you said, just the photo and the fact that it's a Stan Musial rookie card. It's just something about this card where the whole black and white thing goes out the window for me, and it doesn't matter. This is a card I definitely want to, and it just amazes me how inexpensive compared to other cards it continues to sell at. So you can get this card here, $659 for a Stan Musial rookie that looks pretty good, man, and a PSA 3. So,
I'm hoping to find that at the National, sir. So keep.
Yeah, guys, this card is not good. You wouldn't like it.
Yeah, you stay away from
your eyes off it. It's no good.
Yep, that one's going down.
Yep. All right, man. So now we'll go number 3. This is the 1951 Burke Ross. 1951 Burke Ross, Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, another kind of a backdoor way to get into a playing days DiMaggio, because this is actually DiMaggio's last year. This is his last season as a player, as an active player. It's 51. and it's actually quite affordable in a low grade. And so compared to, say, his play balls, 39, 40, 41 play ball DiMaggios are thousands of dollars, even at low grades. You can, this is a card that I think has a beautiful eye appeal. It looks like an Andy Warhol print. I mean, it just looks beautiful. Whatever that smoky streak is in the background that sort of parallels his bat, he's kind of finishing a swing. It just has a beautiful aesthetic to it and a very artful appearance to it. And I just love it. And so I'd love to find a presentable copy of it, even in a 2 or something like that, that will allow me to get that Playing Days DiMaggio card, because I don't have a Playing Days DiMaggio.
Al, I'm going to wait till you get yours, but I just decided this is the first time I've seriously looked at this card. I don't know why. Something about the Burke Ross, that like the Mantle Burke Ross, I'm not a fan of it. So I kind of like maybe took my eye off the Burke Ross set.
Sure.
I have never really looked at, like until right now, the Joe DiMaggio, and I love this card. I've always wanted a DiMaggio card. I have none in my collection, Playing Days card.
Yep.
So after you get the one that you want, I'm telling this right now, I'm getting this card. After Al's going to let me know when he gets his card. Take your time, whenever you get. I need this card in my collection.
If you see the one, I have to get it. If you see the one that you can't live without, you have my permission to buy it.
All right, dude. A PSA, you get this card's $500. A $500 1951 Joe DiMaggio card this thing looks great. Just recently sold. I cannot believe how inexpensive this card is. Again, shh.
Right.
Holy moly. That's awesome, man. Great choices there. The Joe Jackson, actually all 3 of those are on my list too. Those are perfect picks for me. All right. So let's pull this back down. Well, this is a part here towards the end here where I ask you if you could give me a mention of another channel or 2, another YouTube channel that you enjoy. It could be someone that I've already had on 3 and 3 or someone I haven't, but
okay.
Anyone you want to give a mention to that you enjoy.
Let's see. You've had Adam, Vintage Sanctuary?
Yep. Him. Yep. Great channel.
I just saw a great episode with Theo last week. That was amazing.
Yep.
What about the Drew?
He is on my man. I have him on my list because other people have mentioned him too, and I'm a fan of his channel. So I'm not able to move as fast on these 3 and 3s as I would like. I'd like to do more, but I'm kind of like with my schedule, I'm trying to do every couple weeks now. Sure. But yes, he's 100% going to be on my list to reach out to and do one of these with in the future. So
good.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Drew.
Yeah, he's another channel that does great with telling stories and not just showing the cards, but kind of like we did here, telling the stories, why we love these cards or why we want these cards. So those are some of my favorite channels like that really dig deep into that. I like that.
Yep.
Well, Al, hey man, this was fun. I have so many more things I want to talk to you about, but I think what I'll do is you're going to the National, right?
Yep.
I am too. So are you going to go to the Thursday night get together there?
Yeah, that's maybe the thing I'm looking forward to the most. Just getting together with the community, just meeting and greeting, and I have these iconic Al cards this year that I'll be giving out. They're 1987 Topps derivatives, and they're all signed and numbered. So anybody out there that's going to be there, hit me up and ask me for a card, and you got one.
I want one of those. I love how you chose the gold signature there. I love that.
Add a nice classy touch to it, I think.
Yep. Beautiful. Yeah, man. So it would be nice to meet you in person at the National. And hey, maybe we could both get one of those Burke Ross DiMaggio cards at the National.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Find a good dealer who's got a few of them laying out there.
Yeah, you know who just got one of those as well was Chris from Missouri.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I saw a video he posted a few weeks ago at a show, and one of the pickups that he listed was 51 Burke Ross DiMaggio, and he showed it. I think it was a 1.5, but a beautiful 1.5. I'm not sure what he paid for it, but again, I think it's one of his best values, and it's a beautiful card.
I'm obsessed, man. It's in my. I can't think of anything else right now. All right. Well, hey guys, if you don't already subscribe or follow Al's channel, man, go check it out. You got your iconic 100 set up as a playlist, so you can go right to his channel, go under playlist, and he's got all the episodes right there. Pick your favorite player. Start with Michael Jordan at 100. Work your way down. Man, he's got just awesome the way you do it. So Al, I want to thank you for joining me here. This was great. It was great to meet you, and I'll see you soon.
Adam, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for what you're doing for the community. I just love this platform. Your channel is great. These interviews are great. And I can't wait to meet you in person in late July.
Coming up.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll be back soon.